This is fight 269. My opponent was changed. I was supposed to fight actually someone who I fought twice before in Chuek. Her name is Aira. You can go watch my fights with her. But this opponent, I really like. Her name is Petchrodtang, which means like the diamond tank, which is very, very cool. From her gym name was Sun Gilabuk. She sat next to me in this van, like in the back of this truck, on the way from where we were staying in this hotel over to the event area. We had to get tested for COVID in the middle of the day, and then we fought at night. And we were sitting right next to each other in the truck, which is something that happens in Thailand. Like, you might actually know your opponent, you might be right next to them getting ready for hours, you might be in the same van with them. Like, it's all kinds of things that I think in the West we kind of, I don't know, recoil at. It's not something that we're very used to. Like, we think of our opponents as our enemies and things like this, which, I don't know, it's a very different culture, so you kind of go with what other people do and think and talk about and things like that. I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but to me it's not very fun. So they actually announced her as Aira as well, which is very annoying. She's the replacement for Aira, and they announced her with Aira's name, but this is Petchrodtang. She's 19 years old, and this was her first Chuek fight, but she's experienced in fighting. And she's very sweet, and like, she's shorter than me, but weighs maybe like 51. So she outweighs me by like 5 kilos about. But oh man, she came after me in this fight. This was modified Chuek, which means that like how Chuek usually works is it's 5 rounds and it's knockout or nothing. So there's no points awarded at all. You either knock your opponent out or it's a draw. They decided to make this 3 rounds. The promoter is the man who's talking right now. He's on the right of the screen. His name is Pibet. Bet means duck, but it's actually a semi-common nickname down in the South. And he told me that Phuket would not allow 5-round fights right now during COVID, so it had to be 3 rounds, which I do not like 3-round fights. But you know, what could I do given that restriction? But then he also changed it so that they were awarding points. Like, there was a winner by points and decision rather than by knockout, which that's not how Chuek works. So I was pretty annoyed by those 2 changes. As he's announcing me in Thai as I'm coming out, he brags about me in a couple of points. One, he talks about how I wanted a 5-round fight. My nickname on this show is Jom Sadit, which means the ultimate sadist. And he kind of associates that with me asking for 5 rounds rather than 3 rounds. Everyone thinks that 3-round fights are easier, you get paid the same, kind of thing like that. So I don't like them for a number of reasons, but a lot of people, when they're like, it's going to be a 3-round fight, so, oh, that's easier, that's good. So he sees this as a part of my Jom Sadit that I always ask for 5-round fights. It was a little bit stressful. I never have a corner when I go to fights, or very often don't, and I just kind of find someone who's there. But the man who usually is my connection to, can I use one of your trainers, or can I use someone who came with you to throw them into my corner, he brought my opponent. So I actually didn't even have someone who I could ask to come be in my corner, and he said he would help me, like he would take care of it in terms of he would figure out who was gonna come corner for me. And nobody came until literally I was on deck waiting to go into the ring. So I don't know my corner at all whatsoever. It's this guy in the blue shirt. He was actually very cool. I liked him a lot. He had a couple of fighters on the show. And he was very sweet. There was a security guy, like a policeman, who was watching me put my Chuek wraps on. And when he realized I could speak Thai, he came over and like helped me. He started doing like all these cross-hatching things with my gauze and all kinds of stuff. So my right hand is actually mostly wrapped by, his name is George. He's Thai. He's from the South. And he had like kata, like incantations. You can hear about it in my post-fight update. It was a very cool experience, but he basically did my right hand, and then the left hand was done entirely by me. They were very different from each other. Very, very different wraps, the 2 of those. You can see how short she is. She's slightly shorter than me. in my 269 fights, I've fought someone shorter than me, including her, I think three times. I fought someone shorter than me. It's not something I experience in training. It's not something I experience in fighting. The few times that I've had a sparring partner who's shorter than me, I'm like, oh shit, like height actually makes quite a difference that I don't give myself credit for being so much smaller than my opponents because it's so much the norm. I'm always smaller than my opponents. So I just kind of don't have the experience of being on the opposite end of that to know how to give myself credit for that kind of disadvantage. Chemical X is my fight name now, and the announcer was struggling a little bit with pronouncing it because we use the actual X. This promoter really likes me, so a lot of his announcing during the fight and leading into it is bragging about me, which is really nice to have going into a fight. It kind of makes you like a star and this kind of thing. He just really likes how I fight. He likes that I'm game. He can throw me in against big opponents. I'll fight anybody. I fight really hard. He likes me a great deal, and I like him, which is actually really nice. There's a very funny moment when we were driving back from getting COVID tested. We were in the back of the truck, and my opponent had gone to the front seat with another girl, and then the promoter was actually sitting next to me on the right. It was very crammed back there, and he got on his phone in a video call, and he called Hippie, who's the legend of the South. He's in the Muay Thai Library. He is like the most famous Southern fighter. Everyone loves him, and Pibet called Hippie because he knows that we know each other. And he was like video calling. He's like, oh, Sylvie's in the truck, like she's fighting tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. This kind of incredible thing. Hippie's from the South, but when he speaks, there's a very strong Southern accent. It's incredible. When Hippie speaks, he speaks mostly like he's from Bangkok or something. He's like a very slight Southern accent. When he was talking to this guy, both of them shot their Southern accent up to like 20. I've never heard Hippie sound like that. It was one of my favorite things. It's really cool to hear him in his kind of like, I'm back home talking like, not going to see Tamarat, you know. This was very bare bones. This is during COVID. It's my first fight in 9 months because of COVID. I had 2 fights this year. It's usually like near 30 that I have. But there's almost nobody there. But it's just out in this field, and there's like a lake to the side. It's at Laguna in Phuket, which is like it's like a city resort. Here we go. Been a while for Sylvie, but I've been sparring every day with Yodkun Pan, so I really wanted to bring out some of those things. Oh, they switched to her actual name for the photo. That's really good. So Petchrodtang came fucking hard with her punches. She was throwing this overhand right that she clipped me behind the ear, and it really hurts back there. I kind of thought I was going to be more forward and calm for this, but it's very hard when someone's trying to take off your head. You have to defend and come in. Once I got her in the clinch, I knew that was going to be where I needed to go if I had any kind of problem. I'm blocking with my elbows, which hurts hands. That overhand right, man. So I've got my elbows and knees are working together. Landed that one. I could feel my hands landing in a way that they really never have before. I have pretty good punches, but my punches, ooh, that one landed. I could feel my knuckles making contact in a way that's just way more accurate than it's ever been before, which hurts. I actually hurt my knuckles a little bit on my left hand. I wish I had let George wrap my left hand also. So the announcers are talking about how I'm 45, 46 kilos, and my opponent's like 50, 51. Like Sylvie's not afraid of anybody, but they're also announcing that how brave Petchrodtang is. She's 19. She knows who I am, actually. Oh, that drag back. Getting side control, throwing these elbows. This is partially working with Yodkun Pan. My elbows are just, in Thai it's called Changwat. It means like timing and rhythm. My feeling for when they come out has just completely skyrocketed. She's trying to do these leg kicks. She actually got me pretty good with some leg kicks in round 1. I blocked one of them with the low kick destroyer, and she was kind of done with them after that, but she was rocking them. She's got big legs. She can't get away from me. When Yodkun Pan in the Muay Thai Library, I talk about hitching a trailer. He gets his hand on the back of your head and kind of just puts the weight on it. It's kind of like if you're holding a ball in water, and you just can't get away from it. And I'm kind of like latching her a little bit as she's trying to escape out. It's like partially Diesel Noi, partially Yodkun Pan. They make you stay in your corner before the bell goes. They won't let you come to the middle of the ring. They're very hardcore about it. This part where we're standing right here is incredibly slippery. I don't know what happened. There's Vaseline and water right there. Anytime we got near that part of the ring, it was very difficult. The announcer's saying, for Sylvie, 3 rounds is enough. Don't subject someone to this for 5 rounds. She punches and pivots out really nice. She has a very, very winning record, and I can see why. She has this pressure with hands that's unusual for Thai women. It's very good. Oh, that one landed hard. Oh, that left hook landed. And so I can keep this distance. This distance that I'm at right before I grab her is perfect for me. And it's hard to get to and stay in. So I was able to stay in it in this fight really well. I'm kind of drifting right, which makes her right overhand land. Oh, that landed too, though. I kind of ducked in. Once these knees start accumulating, the ref is saving her a little bit, which is okay given our disparities. But I just have to keep coming in. She's trying to get away from me. Elbow to the back of the head. She's trying to get away from me, but I'm staying close to her. I'm able to track her really well. Elbows and knees. My trainer from Lana many years ago, Cruden, would be very happy. He always says elbows and knees work together. Cruden, that's for you. They're finally working together. So she's getting an 8 count in round 2. Because she's just not defending herself. So there was no one thing that was she's wrong. But referees will come break when someone's not defending themselves to be you need to decide whether you're going to keep up with this or not. That knee came up into her face. It totally slammed into her mouth. And he's this is just not going to go well. This is going to be really bad. I come over to her to say sorry, and I walked on her so hard she thought the fight was still happening. Her hands came up. She didn't realize I was coming to say sorry because I was walking so hard. Kevin and I were laughing pretty hard about that afterwards. He's Sylvie's not even tired. That's what Pipette's saying. He's not even tired. It's really sweet what he's saying right now is he's Sylvie's 45, 46. Any gym that wants to come fight her, you've seen her. If you want Sylvie, I'll promote a fight between you and Sylvie. He's basically trying to match me at the end of this fight. After the fight, Petchrodtang told me that 4 years ago she saw me at one of a Karchuk fight up near where she's from and took a photo with me together 4 years ago. So we exchanged lines so that we can talk, and I sent her photos from us after this fight. She's very sweet. And I asked her to please find that photo from 4 years ago. What's kind of amazing is that if this was 4 years ago, that was one of my first Karchuk fights. That's when I was first getting into Karchuk, that she saw me and came and took a photo with me as a fan. There's something kind of incredible that I don't really know entirely how I feel about it, but the fact that there are young women who, it's only been 4 years, but more or less grew up watching me and now they're fighting me, is kind of amazing. I try to think about if there was, someone who I was watching when I was first starting Muay Thai, or even 5 years ago that now I'm fighting. I kind of followed Tanan Chinook, but I'd already fought her before. I didn't know who she was, and then I fought her, realized who she was, and started following her, and then we fought again years later. It's kind of like that, but she's not older than me and someone that I was kind of like looking up to. So it's, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I love that I can connect with these young women. And after the fight, when we were texting to each other at like 2 a.m, because neither of us could sleep, we're like, oh, does anything hurt? Are you okay? I'm sorry. Also, like, take care, rest good. She was like, I'm very happy to meet someone who also loves Muay Thai so much. So that's really what that connection feels like to me also, is that Petchrodtang loves Muay Thai and I really love Muay Thai. And so the sisterhood that you have with your opponents because you're in a sport that you both love, crying, to me means a great deal. So that's fight 269 on Phuket against Petchrodtang Karchip.
Okay, so we are walking out of fight 269. We are in Phuket, and it was a modified Karchip fight. So I knew before coming in it was going to be 3 rounds because the promoter told me that they're not allowed to do 5 rounds right now, which I was very, very annoyed at. And then it turns out that they also modified it where they give points, like they score it rather than it just being knockout or nothing. So there are a lot of things going on with this fight that I was disappointed in. My opponent changed all of these different things, but I won by knockout anyway, so just take care of that nonsense by making it what it is. I feel a little bit disappointed in myself given what I kind of wanted to come out in this fight with all the work that I've been doing, but it's been 9 months since my last fight, so a lot of what you've been working on between fights, you'll just go back to what you know because you're under pressure that's very, very hard to create in training situations. And even though I work a lot in trying to create that in my training situations, it's very different when someone is really trying to take your head off with rope wraps. It's very different. But my favorite thing, there was this very cool experience when I was wrapping my hands. This guy who's like a policeman, like a security guy, was watching me wrap my hands, and he's like, not saying anything, and so I had to rewrap my right hand, and I said to him in Thai, it's too tight, which is why I was rewrapping it, and he just got in there, and he was showing me how he liked to wrap it when he fought Chuek, and he had this Ajarn who taught him kata. Kata are chants that you do that are like magical incantations to put in like under the cloth, and how you wrap it a certain way to like keep your blood flowing. It was amazing, and I'm gonna talk more about it maybe at another time, but he said that he learned this from a man who worked directly with Khun Pan, who's one of the biggest like Wild West magicians from down in the south. Is incredible. So that guy's name is George. He's amazing, and Kevin and I took a photo. So fight 269 done, happy, and now we're going back to the hotel.